لطبعا الملفات الاقتصادية الهامة جدا.
Of course, we discussed the economic files.
الدولة المصرية للتعامل مع السيناريوهات المختلفة للاقتصاد في ضوء طبعا الأزمة العالمية الكبيرة جدا اللي موجودة حاليا. وخلينا أقول لحضراتكم إن إحنا حاليا كمجلس وزراء.
And right now, we as the Ministerial Council is developing different scenarios for the Egyptian economy in cooperation with a number of economic experts for the coming 2 years. The characteristics of the Russian-Ukrainian crisis show that it would last longer even than 2023. So we need to be cautious and have a clear vision about the path of the Egyptian economy for 2 years. We have a task force and we cooperate with economic experts who developed a number of scenarios that we will discuss with different ministries and entities as well as the Central Bank of Egypt to have a clear idea for the coming 2 years. A very important part that we covered during the previous press conferences is the fact that the state and the government started implementing what is included in the state ownership document. And I announced during the previous meeting that after the Ministerial Council's current meeting, we announce the number of companies that would be listed for the first time, and they are going to be listed in the capital market or through a strategic investor. So the companies will announce today, and will announce them in names, are either going to be presented in the capital market, or part of it would be for the capital market and the other part for a strategic investor. And this all depends on the studies conducted by the competent investment banks, as they are the ones who would decide whether this company can go to the capital market or the strategic investor. And here the strategic investor either is going to do acquisition for this company or add to the capital of the company, or we will offer it in the stock market, aiming at increasing the participation of the Egyptian citizens to public ownership. And this comes within the framework of the state's ownership document developed. I said that there will be 20 companies, but in fact we'll announce to you 32 companies that are going to be offered over a whole year, starting this quarter of 2023 up till the first quarter of 2024. So we're talking about 32 companies that will be offered, be it for the capital market or the strategic investor, or both of them, throughout a whole year. And during the first quarter of this next year, these 32 companies cover 14 different sectors according to what we've mentioned in the state's ownership document. The names are here before you, and we will publish them. They have 3 banks, Misr Bank, United Bank, International Arab African Bank, and this would be done in full cooperation with the Central Bank of Egypt. Afterwards, we'll have a large number of companies, and all these companies are being offered for the first time in the stock market or for a strategic investor, and they cover different sectors. I would like here to emphasize that there are 2 companies that are being offered for the first time, and they are from the National Authority for Public Services, and these are Safi and Wataniya companies. And the rest of the companies cover all the different sectors that we in the state ownership document covered. 7 sectors that we mentioned that the state would phase out of them gradually, or other sectors that the state would reduce its existence in addition to other additional sectors that we will increase our investments in as a state as strategic sectors, and we will offer, despite that, a number of companies to expand the participation of the Egyptian citizens in public ownership and to give it also to a strategic investor to expand these companies. This is a very important thing, and here I need to talk about one essential point. This targets that at least 25% of these companies would be covered during the first 6 months. So this is very important, and we are preparing them with the competent authorities and the investment banks to finish them all during the first 6 months, at least 25% of these companies. Because the procedures of offering a company for the first time has a number of procedures to be undertaken and a specific time frame known for all experts. Some of them need months, others need years. That's why we have put this time frame, and we as a state emphasize that 32 companies would be offered for the first time in the near future during this year. And we might add to them other companies and other entities and sectors during the same time frame after we finish the preparation of the other companies. But at least these are the companies that we as a state would offer for the first time. And there are sectors for the first time that would be there, like insurance, as well as electricity and energy, petroleum, transport, handling of containers. New companies are going to be offered. So multiple sectors would be covered, and the state would be committed to announcing them during the time frame set, and this is this year till the first quarter of 2024. I wanted to present to you that, and this is a step that emphasizes the seriousness of the state to meet its commitment regarding the state ownership document that all institutions and all the community were asking the state to work on. This is the first part I wanted to present to you in the press conference. The other part is the priority in the current phase is supporting the two main sectors that represent the essence of the Egyptian economy, and it is industry and agriculture. I would like to start with agriculture, especially regarding subsidizing and supporting the Egyptian farmer and encouraging him to plant strategic crops. We are trying here to narrow the gap, especially the dollar gap, by maximizing our exports as well as reducing our imports. A large part of our imports are the strategic crops and the crops used for fodders in addition to food oil or oils in general. And we found that we import the big volume of our feed and fodder for soya beans and crop and also corn. And in addition to that, there is also some flour for oil. So we agreed with the ministers of agriculture, supply and irrigation to announce in a few days the prices for contractual agriculture to encourage the farmers to plant these strategic crops that the state would use, be it for the fodders or for oil production. We will announce for these three crops, corn, soya beans and sunflower, a price that we will call a guarantee price for the farmer. And the other important things, at the time of receiving this crop, we will go back to the stock market and we will apply the commodity stock market as we did this year with cotton, and was very successful. All farmers were able to sell their cotton crop at a very reasonable price. So we'll apply the same for these 3 crops to encourage the farmer to plant them, as they help the state reduce the amount of fodder we import, as well as the production of oil. So I would like to reassure the agricultural sector that these 3 crops are being planted during the summer season, and maybe sunflower is planted throughout the whole year. So starting next February, we'll announce this. And when the farmer plants next April, he would know what would be the price of this crop. Now, industry. And this is a topic that preoccupies us. I would like to emphasize that yesterday we had an important meeting with the experts committee that follow up the implementation of the economic conference held by the state. I would like to seize this opportunity to thank them all for their keenness on participating with the state with valuable opinions. We are implementing them right now, and we'll go on do this. And we agreed with them that every groups of meetings will discuss a specific sector, so that we would come up with a number of recommendations, quantitative indicators, and measures the government would make. Yesterday's session was talking about the industry sector. And the state wants to enforce and support this sector in light of what we are doing. Over the previous period, we took more than 32 reforms to increase competitiveness of industry and to support industrialists. We took a very important decision in the cabinet not to impose any new fees that might increase the cost of this sector. We exempted 19 industrial sectors from the real estate tax, and we decided that we as a state will pay the real estate tax on their behalf. As you know, we have adopted the allocation of lands according to be it the usufruct or the ownership system, and we have priced all the industrial lands nationwide at a fixed price. And this price covers the value of the utilities and not even the sovereign utilities. And we have expanded in the application of the golden certificate, and we launched an initiative to support the interest rate for the loans they receive from the banks. They are going to incur only 11% of the interest rate, and the state would incur the rest. Starting July, we took all these decisions, and recently a very important thing to meet the requests of the Federation of Egyptian Industries. They told us that one of the challenges they face is receiving permits and license from Civil Protection and the Ministry of Environment. And we decided that engineering and consulting firm that does the design for the manufacturer would be responsible for the application of civil protection codes as well as the environment terms and conditions, and they will sign a document saying so. And accordingly, the environment agency would give the permits, and the whole responsibility would be borne by the consulting firm itself, and they would be responsible for doing all these steps. And this is a very important step, in addition, of course, to other steps. We'll give additional time frame for manufacturers so that they can issue the operation and construction licenses. And also the industrial development aid authority would be the only authority the person would go to before constructing any factory, and it would provide him with all the licenses and permits needed in only 20 days. All these steps, as well as other steps, would be taken in the near future with one objective: to overcome all barriers facing these two main sectors, agriculture and industry. And of course, other sessions are going to be held in the near future, and we will come up with an integrated system for supporting experts. And I would like to emphasize this point, that the state now is focusing mainly on reducing the dollar gap, and this won't happen except through increasing exports and reducing imports. The reduction of imports does not mean that we would reduce the requirements and limit them, but we will focus rather on local manufacturing of these materials in the Egyptian factories. By doing so, we are reducing the imports. Thus, the system of export support would be developed in the near future, and we will announce it to achieve our main objective: to narrow this gap in hard currency, and we will announce all this to you in the near future. Thank you all.